What's up, you guys? It's Layla Lynn, and I'm back with a new video. In this video, I want to talk about Kiki Palmer defending one of her new shows. Kiki Palmer, as you all know, is not only an actress but an executive producer, and she has this network called Key TV. And one of the shows on her new network is called Southern Fried Rice, and it's about an Asian girl who was adopted by Black parents and who decides to go to an historically Black university. And it's a coming of age type of story where it follows her experience at an HBCU. So Kiki Palmer shared it on her social media. She shared the trailer and she said, "Now, y'all know I love a good story with some heart, a little humor, and a lot of mess. Introducing Key TV's Southern Fried Rice, a new coming of age dramedy set at a fictional HBCU." Now, this was just a few days ago that it actually premiered, and there has been so much backlash regarding the story because of the fact it's based on Black people and Black culture, but it centers an Asian woman. So there's so much backlash, and we're going to get into the backlash and what Kiki Palmer had to say. But first, if you're watching this channel, if you're not yet subscribed, I'm Layla Lynn. I cover celebrity news and nostalgia. So if you like this type of content, subscribe to this channel. All right, so now that y'all know the premise of the show, I want to share some of the backlash with you just to give you some context. This is from Bayonet TY on Twitter. She kind of explained what I think a lot of people feel about the show. She said, "My thoughts on Southern Fried Rice, keep it, Kiki. Simply put, the show failed its Black women characters." And so then she lists out the Black women characters and how the show failed them. The star of the story, the Asian American student, her name is Coco. And so she says, the mama. Coco's story begins with the casual mention of her mother, Dottie's infertility, and the subsequent adoption of an Asian baby. Infertility is a profoundly personal and reproductive justice centered issue in Black women's health. However, here it functions as a mere footnote and a dismissive plot device to frame Coco's adoption and her emergence as the protagonist rather than giving the issue the thoughtful attention it demands. Ironically, this sets the stage for the show's inadvertent theme: exploitative narrative dismissal. So basically, infertility as a plot device is an issue. And then she goes on to say the disposable Black best friend. They say Tammy, the Black best friend, is reduced to a disposable statistic, which is derogatory. Tammy is framed as little more than a racialized stereotype, a Black teen mother whose limited outcome is treated as normal and expected. I hate that. She said, while she does give voice to the systemic reality of being made by her traditional family to carry a child without resources, her expressing her complex truth is abruptly curtailed the moment the non Black protagonist's college plot begins. I read this as a deliberate narrative marginalization of another potentially nuanced Black female character. I'm sure she would have been nuanced. As a mother, as a teen mother, I'm sure she would have been very nuanced. But they're not, her story was curtailed, as she said, by the Asian girl story. And then she said there's the angry Black woman. But this is not the last time in this episode that the show deliberately sacrifices a Black woman's narrative depth to maintain Coco's central focus into Joy. Coco's, I guess the girl, they're painting this girl like a hater, but her name is Joy. So they say enter Joy, Coco's dark skinned roommate, who is swiftly characterized as the main antagonist. Though Joy is merely expressing valid, necessary concerns about Coco's cultural exploitation, the story positions her as the hostile element, causing discomfort even among her peers, making the darkest skinned and bigger woman on the cast the villain who challenges the non Black protagonist's presence is a problematic choice. It's a historically rooted, violent narrative choice. And so there's feedback like this all over social media about this show. When they posted on the Shade Room, someone questioned. She said, "Y'all are complaining about an Asian American going to an HBCU? Oh, brother." I don't think that's the issue. I think people are complaining that she's the star of a show centered around Blackness and Black culture. Someone that's non Black is a star. Someone else said, "Love Kiki bad, but this ain't it, baby. You too connected to the streets to be this tone deaf." Someone else also had a very eloquent explanation of their feelings about it. Being Mary Jade on Instagram said, "I don't mind navigating an Asian American's HBCU journey, but I do mind an Asian being the lead character of a Black supporting cast, especially written and directed by us. Because why? She could have been a classmate of the lead, whose storyline we explore later on." Even in that little pic, seeing all those beautiful Black supportive faces surrounding and applauding another's race spotlight is super triggering, and we should not be expected to support if we don't want to. And so I'm going to get into Kiki's response to this.
Hey, you guys, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I wanted to chop it up real quick about this series called Southern Fried Rice that's premiering on KeTV. That is receiving some controversial feedback. Now, Southern Fried Rice was created by Nakia Stevens, and while I can't speak to her inspiration for the show, I can speak to her dedication as a creative. I mean, Nakia has written, show ran, and produced 4 shows alongside her Damn Right Originals team with KeTV. And KeTV has proudly invested over $500,000 on her creations. And I say that because it's not easy to obtain that kind of investment. In KeTV, this is the ethos of the company. It's a network not just because it has stars and shows or has talent, but because it's about the people who create the shows and connecting them. I mean, we have Alex King, a Black queer creator that made the short film Keep Me in Mind. We have Antoine Lachey, who created the horror story Blue Forest. We have Cousin M by a father and son duo, Rosero and Eric McCoy. Chelsea Sanders, who created Make It Make Sense and Unlabeled by Lawrence Murray. Chelsea also did Dear Kiki. Look, what you like is subjective, but the support of Black creatives is not. And it's a task that KeTV takes on with pride, because if you want to be a creative, you have to be able to create. And that takes money. And it's KeTV's mission to find the funds for you to be in practice, for you to experience trial and error, and to take your projects off the page and get more than one chance to do it in action. So whether you like it all or some or none, I say give these creatives a chance to grow as we continue to grow in supporting them. So God bless you guys. And like I said, Nakia has Southern Fried Rice that's coming out most recently, but she has Nepotista, Ho and Tails, and Psychology of Fuckboys. That's also some great stuff for you to check out. Take care. Thanks for listening. Holla at your girl.
So to me, Kiki's response is basically there are a lot of Black people who work on the show. Like, it's not about what you see on the camera. It's not only about that. It's also about the Black people behind the scenes. So she didn't really address what people were saying. Like, she took it in another route. Like, she redirected the conversation. And when I see people redirect, like, it always reminds me, like, when my kids were younger, and like I would take them to childcare and things like that, and I would ask them how do they discipline the children, or if kids start to have conflict with each other, like what do they do? And they would always say they just redirect them. Like, at this age, they're so young, they just redirect them. So whenever I see people do that to other people, just redirect the conversation instead of addressing it, I always feel like, okay, you are treating these people as if they're children. These people who have valid concerns, you're just redirecting the conversation as if they are childlike. And I also want to share the screenwriter, the creator, the screenwriter, Nakia Stevens, the one she mentioned. She says that she's provocative. I went to her website just to see who it was that was, writing this show. And she said, "I'm Nakia Stevens, a storyteller with unpopular opinions and a provocative imagination." So she's telling you right then and there, like, this is the type of work she creates. She has unpopular opinions, which we see that now from the way this show is being received, and she has a provocative imagination. So basically, she is trying to provoke people. So it stands to reason, in my opinion, her seeing all of this outrage is kind of like, yeah, I did good. She probably feels like she did a good job because that's what she was trying to do. Y'all leave a comment. Let me know your opinion on this. I will say this. I feel like what a lot of Black people want is for us to exercise exclusivity, like not invite everybody to the cookout. And we see other races do that. That's why they had like the one drop rule and everything like that. Other races are not as open, they're very exclusive. And a lot of times, exclusivity is beneficial. So I feel like a lot of people, a lot of Black people want to see us be exclusive and start to reap the benefits of being exclusive. And if you've ever wondered, well, what's the benefit of being exclusive? Like, I don't get it. Just look at it like from a relationship point of view. Like, if you're for everybody, then nobody really wants you. You know what I mean? Nobody wants the dude that is for everybody, community P or whatever you would say. People want what's exclusive. And so that's why a lot of Black people want to see Black people centered, especially if we're talking about Black culture. And to me, what that exclusivity would look like would be, first of all, not having a non-black character as the main lead. I would have a black character who has never really had the black experience. Maybe the black protagonist was raised either by white parents or just in a white community. And the black college experience could be positioned as something aspirational, like her really trying to get into this college, her really trying to get into a certain department at this college. Like, I would position it as aspirational and exclusive instead of like exploratory, where we're showing non-black people the black culture and translating black culture for non-black people. Now, if you made it this far to the end of the video, then I think you like my content. So make sure you subscribe and check out my channel. I have over 1,000 videos on my channel. Check out my playlists and my podcast, and I assure you, you will like more of my content.